Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday. It's August 8th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And you can see we had another big sell-off today. We recovered a good bit of this, more than what you see here. I think we closed a little higher than that. So we did recover about half of this sell-off today. So this support still holding as of now. Um, will we push lower tomorrow? We'll see. This support could hold. I mean, we're stuck right now. It looks like between the 21 EMA and the support line, maybe even in the midline there. You can see on the green channel. So we got a little resistance overhead, but seem to have support underneath here as well still. So we'll just have to see how this plays out. But anyway, let's flip over to the intraday chart. You can see what it looks like. We had a big trend down, and then we had a fairly strong trend back up that played out into the close. And here's a look at what we had. We had this first trend down. We had a little two-legged correction, then a second trend down. Didn't get anything near a measured move on that second leg down. This could just be the retest of the low with such a strong sell-off. But you can see we found support down here around 44.80, between 44.80 and 44.85, and kind of bounced sideways before we got a little spike in channel here and traded up. This one's kind of unique because we had this close outside right here, but it's like the channel just reasserted itself and continued up until right into the close. So we sold off just a little right in the close. We didn't quite get back up to the upper side of the trend channel, and then we sold off there. So I'm going to zoom in here. We'll go through the trades, and there's quite a few today. You had to be a little patient. It took a little while before we really started to get some setups. But I'm going to zoom on in here, so hopefully we can see this. Sometimes I forget to zoom in enough. I apologize, but I try to remember. But a lot of times I just forget. But anyway, 7 o'clock came just as we're selling off this last little push down off the low side of the trend channel line, and you can see the trend, the little rally tight uh, trend working back up. We got a close outside, excuse me, and a new high, and then this short. I marked this short. It's a little different. I mean, that's a strong trend down, and this is a second entry short. So you might enter this on the engulfing bar. You might wait for it to close. Um, if you wait for it to close, then you've got this inside bar. And I'm not as crazy about going short below it, but in such a strong market, you may take that short. Honestly, when it went past this bar, technically you can't use this as a signal bar, but this is not really an engulfing bar, but they got equal highs. So when this one went past this bar, you may choose to enter. I marked it green, and if it closed, you might even enter here. I'm not crazy about those inside bars. I mean, sometimes they'll work out, sometimes they don't. They're just not as reliable. I'm just wary of them. So I don't know if you want to enter that trade or not. But anyway, you get two legs down and then a second entry long right here. Technically, it's by the count, it's not because it doesn't break higher here, but there's clearly a hidden second entry in there. I wouldn't take that long. Um, we run back up here and we make a double, then a triple top. It's tempting to go short right here, but I think that's a little congested. It's another one that maybe you take that trade, maybe you don't. I'm a little wary of it. It's not a great setup at all. So there is a triple test across there though. But anyway, we drop down. There's a lower high here. It does confirm that trend line, but it's moved a little far for a lower high to enter right there. So maybe you wait on the second entry, which comes here, and the signal bar is not very good. Of course, you could look at this because there's a new high, first entry, second entry. So you could look at that as a failure, and then a second entry. And if you do that, then that trade's okay. You'd enter on the break below that, but it's not an ideal. I mean, we're moving a little sideways. You can see how flat the EMA, it's almost pointing up there, so I'm a little wary of that one, although you do expect prices to make a new low here. But if you look, you can clearly see We came back and tested that trend line again here. Uh, this is really a third entry, um, but this is almost a double bottom. This just looks sideways, so it looks like two legs up to me, and it broke higher. This is an engulfing bar. I like that trade. I marked it. You might have been better off to wait on the lower high here. I don't know if I would have entered down here right into that support. I think you have to enter this one on the engulfing bar or maybe wait. But there it is. We drop on down, we get a break, and then move to a new low. And I don't see any other entries here. We're getting a little ways away from the EMA. And of course, we do bounce. Of course, you're not going to buy. This is a really strong downtrend, so don't look to buy any of this. We finally get a break. We try to get a new high, and then you get the failure here. This is definitely a failure right at the midline. I like entering there. And if you didn't enter there, this one broke lower and then turned back up and came back through again. So when it came back through, it's a second entry short. So maybe you enter below that one. You could enter that on the engulfing bar. This is a little bit of has a lot of very small body. So I'd probably wait till this closed and be sure it's bearish and then go short. And then you don't have a lot of room, so maybe you let this one break lower and see if it backs up and maybe get a little better entry. This one's just a little tricky. As bearish as this is, you might be all right to go short there regardless of how much room you got. I didn't measure it. I'll be honest with you, with that little trap there. So you don't even have a full point there. So you don't have a lot of room. You got to be real careful with that one. Then we bounce back up we finally get to the other side. This is a second entry short. It's a little ways away from the EMA. Not a great signal bar. I'd probably wait on this one. And then notice we tried to go higher once, twice, and failed. And there's also a first entry, second entry. It's a little sideways. It's like a little failed breakout too. But look how the trend line's still holding. I like going short right there. Strong downtrend, and that's a nice move down. It's like, again, that's a second entry short. And technically, it's not really even a second entry because this is not a new swing low, but you can clearly see the two attempts to go lower and then two attempts to go higher. I still like entering on that one right off the key entry point. It's very low risk too. I think it's like 5 ticks. You get a break here, just the first entry, runs on down, and then we kind of go flat here. We kind of go into this flat range. Let me back out a little bit. You can't really tell it's a range yet here. It just got some support, so just draw your support line, but eventually you can tell there's a range here. But of course we got a channel working up here too, and we get this bounce and get a first entry, second entry. I'm not sure if I talked about that trade. We're not quite to the lows yet. Then we bounce early. We make that double bottom and bounce. There's a second entry long there, but I wouldn't go long. There's a higher low here, and but again, the signal bar is not very good, and I wouldn't be looking for longs yet. This is not a new low, so this is like a first entry, second entry, third entry up here. This is so tempting. If you draw your little channel, which would be something like that, you really don't get a close outside of it. So this is the first close outside. So and we do get a break. So it makes me say, hey, just sit tight, see if we get some other option here, and don't be too greedy because you could get burnt. You see how it comes down and bounces. We could make that push up, but it ends up running down, getting the break, and then running up. And there's a second entry here, but it's an inside bar. Drops on down, but then you quickly get a second entry short right off a possible key entry point. I like going short there. And then right after that, you get another quick second entry short. This is more of an inside bar. It's only a tick off the highs, and there's clearly two legs up. And so this is one in such a strong downtrend when you know you're going to retest these lows. On a trend like that, you're going to retest these lows. So it doesn't mean that you're going to retest them from here, but if you feel pretty good about your reads, this one's a little more like this. You probably take that trade. I marked it green because it's not a perfect setup, but I like the setup personally. Then, of course, we run down here, we find support, we make a little failed breakout. I didn't mark this trade. We do have a close outside the new low, and we did get that failed break lower. I'll mark those green a lot of times because many times they're very important lows on the failed break lower. But this is a strong downtrend, and we did make a new low here already too. So there's some reasons to think this thing might bounce. Usually you want to get a reversal pattern, and you do get a failed second entry short, but that's too congested. It's below the EMA. It just doesn't set up very good. Then of course we run up, and then you get a first entry, and the second entry is right there. So the signal bar is not very good, but then it drops lower and fails and turns back up. That's a new low, so you get a first entry, second entry. So when it breaks higher, that's a failure. And when it makes that little tick down and turns up, I like going long on the engulfing bar when it comes past that bar because it's going to trap people. And you can see how quickly it runs up. Quick, easy move, quick, easy scalp. You definitely got them trapped right there, the shorts. So then you come back and you get a second entry long right here. This is an inside bar, but there's a matching low, so you can take that one with no worries. It doesn't go very far, but it gets an easy scalp. You would think it would try to make a new high and test the highs, but it drops down instead, and it just kind of chops along here until you get a little failed break lower, and then you get a higher low here. Again, I don't think you can go long at the top of this bar, and I don't know which way this bar broke. I believe it broke lower first and then turned up, but I couldn't swear to that. If it did drop lower and turn up, you could go long on the engulfing bar there if you've got room to get out. I would not go long right here when this bar closed. Just too much. There's too much to resistance there, and it's been mostly down all day at this point. Turns out to be a nice move. And then we get a triple test right here and a second entry long. I like going, if it breaks above that 3-bar matching high, it's probably going higher, at least for a scalp. And there it takes off. It comes back here, kind of chops around. We get a break, new low, and then it reverses again. We're back inside the range, so you really don't, and that's just like a test right there. So I don't think you can go long right there. But when it shoots up and comes back and gives you a first entry, second entry, nice signal bar, double bottom right there on the second entry. I like going long there. You'll probably at least retest that high. You got plenty of room there for a scalp. And of course it does run to a new high, makes a lower high, and then turns down. This one's not an engulfing bar. I don't like going short right here at the bottom of the EMA when it's already bounced off of it. Comes back. This is the one that's kind of weird. You get the break here, and then it gets back in this channel and keeps going. So, but notice here you got a triple test. You pulled back and tested it once, twice, 3 times here. This is also a first entry, second entry. You're not really looking for second entries here, but if you get 2 legs back, but it's a triple test, and it's right off that key entry point. I like going long if it breaks higher there. And then it turns lower and reverses. You might go long here. I like this one just because, again, it's right off the key entry point. This is a double top here, so this is a first entry, second entry, and you got your triple test with a higher low right here. So I like going long there. You can see the EMA starting to point up, and this runs on up, and then we turn back down here. I didn't draw. There's a little trend channel line. This one's more like this here. And you get your close outside new high, and it tries to go higher. Again, I wouldn't be looking for shorts in here because this thing is looking like it may take on off here. Of course, you get a trend down, a break, move to a new low. And again, the trend line's holding there. We don't get any setups here, unfortunately. Too congested, too many dojis, too many small body. It's a shame because you get a really good move up. But notice you come back, you get a first entry, and then when it breaks above here, that's a second entry long. And you get this little trap down here again. It looks similar to the one we had earlier. If it breaks above that, we'll probably run back up at least to the highs here. And so I like going long right there. And again, you're not looking for any shorts in here. You got a triple test there, but it makes a new high too, and I just don't see anything that would make me want to go short or long in here. And that takes us into 230. This one's the only one I see up here. It's a nice second entry long, right off the midline. Triple test really down through here. Yeah, I like that one, but after that, that's just too congested and too late in the day after that. So that's how I saw it. I don't know what that means. This happened one time before. So I don't know if we're going to be able to get the screen back or not. But there's another look at it. I apologize for the noise. I don't have any idea what's causing it. It's happened one time before to me. I don't know what it was, but anyway, I guess it's going to keep dinging and dinging at us. So I'm going to wrap it up. There's the trades. There's how I saw it. There's one more look at it. I apologize for the noise. I don't know what it is. But I'm going to wrap this video up. So I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.